When hinges creaks in doorless chambers, whenever the air is deadly still, welcome, foolish mortal, to Darkest Star ASMR and Entertainment. Welcome, foolish mortals, to Darkest Star ASMR. The supernatural. It's something that we are all fascinated with, I think. Because what's more interesting than to know what happens after? Now in this video I'm going to share my personal thoughts on the paranormal and supernatural, because it's a subject that I hold dear to my heart. But first, let's just make it a little bit more cozy. Let's fire up a little light. And put it here. Now, when it comes to the supernatural and paranormal, I have to divide it into 3 categories. The first one is folklore. The second one is cryptids and urban legends and creepypasta, that kind of stories. And the third is the pure supernatural, ghostly that we experience, or some experience, or some claim to experience. Now, let's start with some misconceptions about things. Let's start with something I love to talk about. Let's talk about vampires. Yes, if you have followed this channel, you know that I am interested in vampires and vampire lore and everything like that. Now, let's start with some modern misconceptions that I mostly blame on Hollywood. There are no romantic pretty boy vampires who shimmers in the sunlight. That's a concept made up by Hollywood. Now, why do I have to tell you this? Because in a TikTok video, some influencer or traveling person said that he went to Italy, I think, or Venice, and he came up upon this little store that was said to be owned by a vampire. In a later blog or vlog, he actually said he was taken out to a villa outside of Venice, where he was introduced to what he presumed was a vampire, the classic Count Dracula type. This is utter ridiculousness. The classic vampire from folklore, which we are discussing in this part, is a corpse. Now, the corpse could be someone who was wronged, who was buried bad in unhallowed ground. It could be someone who was murdered or had something to tell, some secret that he or she had, which made the person return from the grave and visit the ones he or she hold dear, sucking out their life force, leaving them more and more weak until they too perished. Now, modern explanations was of course consumption, which was tuberculosis, which has that kind of an effect on a person. But since people didn't know about consumption back in the days, they thought it was vampires. Was it vampires though? Or was it just consumption or tuberculosis? Since no one of us were actually there, no one of us can tell for sure. But there have been so many rumors about vampires. They have so many different names. Vordolak, Strigoi, Ampir. So when people say they have encountered vampires who look like these charming persons, I would say it's just a bunch of bollocks. Now, can I be sure? Of course not. Until I have cold proof, nothing is sure in this world. Among other folklore, we have the Swedish Huldra, which was a female entity living in the forest who more or less lured men and then killed them. The only way to find out it was a Huldra was to look at her back, because she was hollow. She had a big hole in her back. Folklore is an interesting part of human history, and we have so much unicorns, werewolves, things like that. But the thing is, let me say it like this. Back in the days there were no internet, there were no telephones, there were no television. So it was mouth to mouth. Everything was mouth to mouth. And I can swear that if I whisper in a friend's ear that there is a big rock outside my house, after he had told this to a friend, and that friend has told it to another, and when it come back to me after, I don't know, 100 of persons, I bet you that rock had legs and was trying to break into my house. Does this mean that I don't believe in fairies or gnomes or vampires? As I said, this video isn't to debunk anything, it is about the supernatural. And since no one of us know for sure, there is probably more out there than maybe we know. Let's continue to the more modern part, which is creepypasta urban legends like black-eyed children and things like that. Now I have a double opinion on this. On the other hand, I find it interesting and exciting to hear about and read about. Do I believe it? Not necessarily. You have to understand one thing. Slender Man, everyone knows Slender Man, was a creepypasta that was invented on a page, I thought, on a site, I think it was called creepypasta.com or something like that. It was a guy who invented Slender Man, and it was 20 years ago. And now, these days, people are actually seeing Slender Man. There have been Slender Man sightings. And that begs the question, if we believe in something hard enough, does that make it real in the long term? Can we ourselves create supernatural beings? Because is faith so strong that it can move mountains? Let's take vampires for an example. In traditional lore, if you hold up a crucifix to a vampire, they shy away from it. Now, if you hold up a crucifix to a Chinese vampire, I don't think it will work. Because the cross itself isn't what repels the vampire. It's the fantasy, the belief, the imagination. I guess you can make a lighter. If you believe hard enough that it will repel a werewolf, maybe it will. Like Pennywise in It. So do I believe in black-eyed children and things like that originated more or less, from what I understand, on the internet in this time and age. Let me just say, I think I believe more in vampires, classic vampires from the medieval times, than I believe in black-eyed children, the Mothman, and things like that. Now, let's bring it into ghosts and ghoulies. I have twice seen things that I cannot explain. I have told you about it in earlier videos. It was two foggy persons that I met on the road that just stepped aside and disappeared, and an old man behind or beneath a big oak tree. Same thing there. He stepped into the fog. It was early in the morning and he just vanished, vaporized. Now, I cannot explain that. I have tried, but the thing is, this happened when I was maybe 17 years old. I'm now 53 years old. And as time has gone by, I have started to doubt myself. Because now, the memory, instead of being me, I can almost see the memory as a film. So, have I accelerated this memory into being something that it really wasn't? Was it from the beginning just foggy outlines, which I now believe was clear figures? Everything is so blurred when it comes to the supernatural, because people tell each other stories, and the stories changes the more they are told. And but yes, I believe in something more than this life. And let's get to the point that's really interesting. During the centuries, I think even back to when mankind started to exist on this planet, we had ghost stories. There are ghost stories that goes back to Rome, about a prophet who was visiting a house where a ghost was said to haunt. He didn't believe it, but at night he stayed up and the ghost appeared, dragging heavy chains, and he beckoned this man to follow him outside, and he pointed to a place on the ground. And the day after, this poet or prophet or wherever he was dug up that place, and they found a chained skeleton. And since that day, there were no more ghosts in that house. So, let's just say it like this. There's been so many stories, so many people who have seen supernatural occurrences during all these ages. Can all of them be pure imagination, fantasy? I don't think so. It sounds to me totally bonkers if millions of eyewitnesses were lying, seeing things, or just make things up. That what makes me think that we go on in some capacity. But I will also say, the more technology goes forward, the harder it is to get hard evidence, because these days you can fake everything. And all of these ghost hunting channels on YouTube and television programs doesn't make it any better, because they make show of it. They lie. I can almost say with 100% certainty that 98% of all of those ghost hunters you watch are lying, manipulating, fixing with digital effects. And I think that makes it hard for serious evidence to be taken serious, because no one knows anymore. If I show you a picture of a ghost, you won't know if it's just a digital AI generated pic or if it's actually a ghost. Another thing that makes me personally wince or it makes me don't take it serious is when you drag religion into it. I can watch channels on YouTube where there have been a compelling story about someone who saw a ghost, and then when they start to say, and then I start to pray and the thing disappeared. I'm not religious. I don't believe in any God that controls us. I think we are all God in a certain sense, like we are masters of our own destiny. And I don't believe in any heaven or hell. So when people are starting to yell about demons and praying, the only thing that, except making me extremely tired and like, no way, I'm turning this shit off, is that perhaps, just like vampires, the supernatural has laws of its own, because it is a dimension between worlds where fantasy and imagination runs wild. So perhaps, if you believe hard enough in a prayer, you will shut down that entity. It might not even be a demon, but your beliefs are so strong that it turns off that channel, making the demon go away. But of course, this is just me rambling. I have no hard facts about anything, really. I just wanted to take a little time because I have been absent for a long time now. And I haven't been feeling well, and it's been hard to come up with videos and ideas. But I think I'm gonna start to try and make more content for you guys. And if you want more philosophical discussions or ramblings just like this one, be sure to press that little subscribe button. I don't like saying this, but we have to do it because we need to grow. I've been doing this for 10 years, I think, and I love everyone who clicks that little button down there. Also notifications. There were probably more I was gonna address in this video, but I'm rusty, so bear with me. If you want, there will be a part 2 where we can discuss other supernatural things, my thoughts on UFOs, for example. But that's another video. But for now, I just want you to relax, think about what I said, give me your own opinions down in the comment section. And remember, there can't be any light without darkness, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye. When hinges creaks in doorless chambers, whenever the air is deadly still, welcome, foolish mortal, to Darkest Star ASMR and Entertainment.